I'm just gonna text the team, make sure we're live. We're live, and we're live.
Oh, hey, Joe, what are you doing here?
There you go. Ben, thank you so much for making the time. Thank you for joining us here. You are the honored first of a series we're calling Generosity at Work. I should introduce myself. I'm Joe Teplow, a board member and lucky co-founder of goodtoday.org, a nonprofit that works to make giving a daily habit. And we are honored to have Ben Hindman, the CEO and founder of splashthat.com, the premier online events platform. All your events needs one platform, beautiful. The CEO of a company out of New York, downtown New York, with 100 plus employees, and a dear friend of mine. And then I have to be honest, when I spoke to the team about starting a series of these conversations, the impetus was, I said it when I reached out to you, but there's so much going on in the world, so much suffering, a lot of pain, there's just a lot of division. And at a time like this, I've noticed that a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are thriving in this digital first kind of remote environment. And for those that are thriving, I've found, at least the people that I've gravitated to, view that success as a responsibility. And at a time like this, how can we kind of broadcast that responsibility? How can we share the feeling that we have, the reasons why we feel, a responsibility with the success that people are seeing at this time? And how can we use it to propel ourselves to help others? And when I had that conversation with the team, I said, Ben is someone I look up to for all of these reasons. I think you're someone who is cognizant of those outside yourself in your decision-making at large, but I'm sure for sure at Splash in particular. And I'm really looking forward to this live conversation.
Thanks for that. Thanks for inviting me. Just for those who don't know, I was down with it was Good Today. What was
Good Street?
Good Street, excuse me. Good Street. I was down with Good Street, which was the email version, not the Slack version.
There you go.
We've leveled up, old school.
So Ben, before we get started, why don't you maybe introduce yourself, give a quick background on you as a human, and then what Splash is and what you do.
Great. Hey everyone, welcome to our live show. I'm Ben Hindman. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Splash. Splash is an event marketing software for virtual, hybrid, and in-person events. And I've been building this with my co-founder for about 8 years. So it has been a journey. And as I said early on, Joe brought an idea to us called Good Street, which was basically an email opt-in way to choose charities that we wanted to support. And I mean, Joe, I'd love to get into it and tell you that at the time and still figuring out how to build giving into our company has been really hard. It's often, as the leader of a business, you feel both compelled to take care of only the people that you're responsible for, your team, right? You also feel compelled to represent the company to the rest of the world. And like to your point a moment ago, you feel so lucky that you're in a position to build a business, right? Like it's crazy. We get to build a business in technology in 2020 and take advantage of a lot of both venture capital and clients that have been successful. So it's just very lucky to be in a position building a tech company in 2020. And so net, it was very hard for us to figure out how to build a culture of giving, just because where do you spend your money and where do you spend your time? And it continues to be hard. But so for those of you who don't know what Joe's platform does, basically every single day we get a text now. We get a text, a Slack now. We're live, so I can't say that again. I'm just going to start that over just so they can chop this up nicely. Every day we get a Slack with a different charity that we can donate a quarter to. And every single day, people in my company choose one of two charities. And for me, it comes in at 9 a.m. And it's just something I look forward to. I really don't even start my day until I get that Slack message from Good Today. It's like, all right, it's 9 o'clock. I'm going to give, and then I'm going to get into the mix. And it's crazy because every day, the first thing that you see is a company that is working on something, candidly, more beautiful than the thing we're working on. Now, I love what we're working on. I think what we're working on is epic. I love our business. But these people are solving humanitarian issues or climate change or social justice, whatever it may be that day, people are solving big problems. And that's the first thing you're confronted with in the morning. It's just like, hey, they're working on this, give a quarter, now get to your job. And look, I don't want to diminish what we're doing. In that sense, the first thing that we see is that we're giving. The next thing we do is go earn. And we go earn that next dollar or next quarter that we give to Good Today. Anyway, that's my relationship with your business. A little bit more than you asked, but hopefully people get it.
And thank you for articulating what Good Today means to you. I want to back up and take things a little bit higher. As a leader of a company with 100+ people, millions of dollars in revenue, serving some of the largest brands in the world with their event software, how do you think about your responsibility as a leader, both of your team and of the business, to the outside world? Now, putting that in some context, right? Like I think right now at this time in particular, there's a lot of companies, a lot of leaders that are coming out. I know recently there was some talk about this. One really hot company in Silicon Valley came out and said, we are doing nothing for the outside world other than being really successful in our business, and we're going to build a meaningful company making a lot of money, and then everyone will be free to decide what they do as an individual, with that success. I think there's a lot of people maybe would be aligned with that. There was a lot of controversy around it. For Ben Hindman, what do you feel as a leader for your team and for the company? Do you have a responsibility outside the company? And if so, why?
Yeah, what a question. Look, I hope you ask every CEO who comes on that question, because I would love to get a sense of how people answer this. It is so hard to figure out what your role is in terms of altruism. And I think the best CEOs that I've seen pull this off figure out how to just incorporate giving into part of what they do. And I guess that'd be my answer to your question. What is our role? What is my role as a leader personally? It's to figure out how to build taking care of each other and taking care of the larger community into the fabric of our culture and what we're doing. That's my gig. I don't want to go to the challenge again, but I want to call this out. The challenge for me has always been figuring out how to represent a full group of diverse people who work in my business and decide how we're going to use our resources. My strategy has often been to look at the things that are most obvious. For me, at least, that's been climate change, right? That's where we've given traditionally, because it's like, if you can't get down with the earth, I'm sorry, I don't want you on our team.
Maybe you could share the anecdote about your office and why that's particularly dear to you.
Well, it's a crazy thing. We've been working at 122 West 26th Street for about 6 years. And we were growing out of that. We were on 3 floors. And we had to move into a new space. And we found a space that was just the greatest space in the entire world. At the top floor of the Woolworth building, the 28th floor of this Gothic castle, essentially, in downtown Manhattan. The only thing that really sucked about getting this space, again, the most epic space, was that the people who worked there previous to us, the people who we took over the lease of, was the Rainforest Alliance. And what that is a group of people who certify snacks and packaged goods in order to make sure that we're buying the right stuff, things that support the rainforest. So however the world of karma worked out, we, as a tech business in New York, were taking over the space of a group of people who were protecting our earth. And that definitely didn't feel very good. So we did. We both gave. We became a partner with the Rainforest Alliance, and we dedicated big parts of our office to remembering that the people who worked in our office were carrying the torch, proverbially, for the rainforest, and we had to carry that torch. So anyway, that one of the rooms. Now just for the plug, one of the rooms in that office. We haven't been in that office for a long time, as you know. We're being allowed. We took a conference room, and had everyone write the words "do good." And so if you walk in here, you'll see hundreds of "do good." But I will say we had to leave before we got to 365. I think we're in the mid 200s now, but it looks awesome. Do good in handwriting all over the place. So anyway, it's
thank you for sharing that. It was an amazing story when I first heard it. The idea that you're taking over a space, unfortunately, of a charity that could no longer maybe afford the space, or it was too big for them, and passing the mantle of that responsibility to you as a business. I guess a question for you then is, I work full time at Salesforce, as you know, and our leader Mark has for years now spoken about this idea of stakeholder capitalism. Right, the idea that as a company, we are no longer just beholden to our shareholders, the people that own a piece of the business in the public market, or the employees, but to all of our stakeholders, to our customers, to our partners, to our families, to our employees, to everyone who is involved in delivering our products, receiving our products, consuming our products, the world, the towns that we live in. Right, like Salesforce has a tower in New York City, Atlanta, Paris, Tel Aviv. What kind of how do we have to work with our stakeholders? And so as someone who, it's clear, you're speaking about the Rainforest Foundation, you're speaking about Good City, you're speaking about giving. An interesting question for me is, first of all, that's not to be taken for granted, that assumption, but should you agree with that? And it seems like there's some alignment there. What do you think it does for your business, right? What do you think it does for your people? How have you seen the impacts of you as an outward looking leader trickle down to the type of employees you attract, etc.?
I'll tell you, it's a great question. I think what I'm hearing you ask is, what is the strategic advantage in a way to building giving into your culture? And like, how epic truly is the way that Salesforce does it? Because if you take a step back, Salesforce is a pretty nerdy piece of software that at its core level can get pretty darn boring. This is a CRM. But if you talk to anyone who works at Salesforce, they are so gung-ho about it. I mean, they bleed blue, and they stay at the company for 16, 20 years, right? And if you ask anyone, not anyone, but most people at Salesforce are there because of the focus of the business on altruism and on giving. They have the 1%, the one-on-one, 1% of your product, 1% of your time, 1% of your money.
1% of our products, 1% of our profits, and 1% of our time goes back to nonprofits. Pledge 1%.
So cool. And that, like, what better way to actually, like, literally put it into the fabric of your business? It's so cool. It is the coolest. Your question is? Your question is that the move?
I'm asking you. Mark says doing well by doing good. So I understand the doing good part. We've spoken about that. Have you seen that you do better when you do good, or are you retaining your employees for longer? Do people feel more affinity? Have you witnessed that as a leader?
Joe, it ends up being a little more, interestingly, more complicated. That my experience has been that. Not to overcomplicate the soundbite here. I found more and more that the best answer is to basically empower your team to do the things that they think are good. More and more, I'm feeling that that an organization's role isn't necessarily to choose the passion areas or the areas where people in the organization should give, but instead to listen to them or to empower them with opportunities to give to what they think is valuable and worth their time. And that, to me, is the ninja move that Salesforce has figured out, right? And that Good Today offers.
Yeah.
That it's basically it's yours. It's yours to give, and it's really ours to support. As an example, we'll often, if our employees are doing any kind of giving, we will support that. We will sponsor that. We'll try our best to. Things like that. I think that's the ninja move. That's the cool stuff.
That's beautiful, and it's something we aspire to at Good Today, right? We've spoken with a few companies where their leadership has a cause that they are really connected with, and they give tremendously at often great scale. But as a company grows, we've seen that singular focus, or even that multifaceted focus, is no longer appropriate because you have an employee base that is so passionate about their own things. And something that we feel Good Today can offer is such a breadth of causes. Every day it's a new cause, something else going on in the world, responding to crisis around you in a really timely fashion. Unfortunately, when there's a natural disaster or an attack or what have you, the next morning, boom, in your employee's inbox, in your employee's Slack, we're responding to that. And it's something we really strive for. So you can listen to that voice of your employees. But again, I think it's very important. It is just the beginning, right? For us, giving 25 cents a day for your employees, it's about building a habit of generosity, right? There was someone who told me one day that generosity is a muscle, just like any other quality you possess. And the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. And that's what we are pushing for here, right? When you're 150 employees at Splash, wake up every morning, give 25 cents, they've worked out that muscle in a small way. And we like to think that we're making everyone on your team together a little bit more generous. I don't know if that resonates.
Totally. Speaking of which, I do want to say I pulled up the numbers. We have a group. As a group, we have 130 people. We've given. So this is the thing. It's only 7,182. But if you do, that's like 1,600 quarters.
Yeah.
And that feels bigger, and it makes the point more the intention than necessarily what you give.
100%. I guess, as we're coming towards the end here, can you speak to me a little bit about the core values at Splash?
We have 7 core values.
Okay, I won't make you say, all them by heart, because I remember when people used to do that to me.
I can do it.
Let's go.
Show up, be real, co-create, find the fun, stay curious. We're launching. This is off the presses. We're launching Take Care.
Huh.
Yeah, that's a big one. And I'm missing one. And you're right. Isn't that stay curious? Fine. I think I'm missing a good one.
No, that's fine. So hot off the presses. I don't want to blow the press release here, but what Take Care sounds a lot like some of the things we're speaking about. What does Take Care mean to you? What does it mean to you, and why are you adding it now, a few years into the business?
I realized that there was no value that we have set that says be a good person. All of our values, be real, show up, co-create. Those are like what to do, right? For yourself, for the business. But it's not how to respond and be for others. And so we thought that was important to say that overtly, and that's what we stand for. You have to take care of each other, and we have to take care of everyone. That's what we're here for. We're here to take care. And it also, I like the double entendre that it's not just take care, it's like take care. Speaking of which, now I remember the last one. Love the details. Of course, love the details is the one I miss. I'm the big picture guy. Yeah, but yeah, man. I mean, look. To be honest, we haven't launched Take Care yet because we want to make sure we're living up to Take Care, and it's a journey for us. We're not there yet, but we're getting there.
Beautiful. I'm going to ask a closing question here then. So I had a while ago at this point, I don't know if we spoke about this, but I had a group of high school students visit me at Salesforce, and they came to the office, and the end, they were eating all the free snacks. They were kind of, blown away by that. I remember, what sticks out to the kids, and it was all the snacks. And at the end, we did a Q&A, and I should have seen it coming, but one of the kids asked, he said, Joe, if you knew what you know now when you were in high school, they're in 11th grade, what would you tell yourself? And I said, first of all, kid, that wasn't that long ago. But second of all, I said something along the lines of, more and more in this world, we see it with COVID accelerating, right? More and more in this world is being automated. More of our jobs are being automated. We see, we're turning to software and computers to do so much of our roles, way more than previous generations. By the time these children, these kids get to college and then graduate and get their first jobs, there'll be even more of that. And I said, in a world of increasing automation and turning to computers, I believe what people are going to increasingly value in the people they work with is the uniquely human qualities that they possess, right? And so I'm no longer going to prioritize working with the top engineer in their field, because the computers can already even out the field there. I want someone who's 80%, but the most generous, but the most trustworthy, but the most kind, but the most, the person that I could be in the office with until 11 o'clock and feel comfortable with, and that has my back when I'm sick or what have you. And if that's the case, then how can I was speaking to these students, how can these students in university, I'm getting all blurry here when it's getting emotional here. How can these students over the course of their college careers cultivate those qualities in themselves, right? How can they cultivate generosity, trustworthiness, creativity, ingenuity, all these uniquely human qualities, and therefore be more likely to succeed in what I believe is a human-centric workforce. So you're saying that? Do you agree with that?
You're saying that building giving is actually like a human-oriented skill? Is that what I'm hearing you say? That basically,
I think empathy, right? The empathy that generosity cultivates is a uniquely human quality for now. And that cultivating that.
If you build that, you will be more successful in so many words.
In some ways, I believe so. I found that in the short career that I've had with my team, I try to optimize for choosing people that I felt were humans over the most capable, right? I think that there's a line there that is no longer what it once was. People I think used to tolerate less kind humans in the workplace because they were the best at a particular skill, and I think that there's no. I could be naive. So I wanted to know if that aligns with some things you've seen, and then B, now that you've added take care to your values, my question would be is how, and this is the last question here, so you can answer this. How do you find that in a person? Like, how do you vet for that quality in someone?
Wow.
It's easy to know if someone's good at their job, right? You just give them a computer test or see their get a reference on whatever they did in their past work. But how do you vet for take care?
I love that. Look, there is a high correlation between people who have built their own nonprofit or charity and those that are highly effective in the world. They're often the same people. And I totally hear you that those that are obsessed with ways to give away their time usually understand implicitly how to interface with customers, how to build alliances internally. There's some real value to what you learn when you're finding ways to give or building something around giving. Honestly, I had not thought about it as something to vet for and something, like a data point to include. And I think I've under-indexed on it now that you're saying this. So I appreciate that's a cool idea, man. I had not thought about that, and I think that's a big idea.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
look at that. See, we're adding value here at Good today. You're coming
sharing. Cool.
We're changing your hiring criteria now.
Right? I mean, that's what I think I'm hearing you say, is that really looking at someone's both the passion and the reasons behind why they give can really help you understand if they were going to be a good fit for your organization, and do they have the ability to be empathetic and be human. Because you're totally right. The humans that we've hired are often the highest performing people who understand what it's like and how to communicate with other people, can hear other people's perspective, and can put others first. Those are things that I would certainly love to have in my business.
Beautiful closing thoughts. Ben, I want to really, really, really thank you for
thanks for inviting me on my first StreamYard. Big up to StreamYard. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your wisdom here, and thank you to your team for being among the first companies to join Good today. If anyone watching the stream is interested in sponsoring, their employees to wake up every morning, start their day with this habit of giving on Slack, on email, what have you, please hit me up, joe@goodtoday.org.
Or hit me up. If you're thinking about why you wouldn't do it, hit me up. I think it's the best thing we do. And honestly, we're talking about, I hate to diminish the amount of how effective it is, but we've only given $7,000 or so, and it is a core part of our culture. There are so many things that we spend so much more money on that have so much less of an impact on our business. So I can't recommend this program enough.
Thank you, Ben. Said perfectly. Big blessings, and we'll see you soon, Ben.
See you, Joe.